Welcome back to Steel City Drones. Today, we're going to talk about a new update on a potential DJI and Chinese drone ban because it just took a supersonic 90-degree right turn. We're going to break down everything that you need to know of what the latest updates are and how everything is going to break down. So it's going to be a very comprehensive video. So we're going to talk about this new updated proposal, how it differs from the previous versions, who's leading it, and what their background is, because you really want to know about that, and what their real motives are on why they're trying to put something through. We're going to go ahead and fact check this new proposal as well and tell you how it can really affect the drone industry as a whole. So if you're not up to speed as to where we are yet, please check out our first two videos that we made, and that'll get you completely up to date. So let's go ahead and start and break everything down. To give you where we are currently right now, the Senate Armed Service Committee earlier this month had approved its revised version of the National Defense Authorization Act. And in that version, there was no language or anything about any drone bans versus on DJI. We had the House version on there, as they are the ones that did have that ban in there, but the Senate version did not. Now, on our last video, we had talked about, we thought that we had won the battle, but not the war. Well, that war is very intensified as of right now because Senator Rick Scott from Florida has introduced an amendment that does have a drone ban inside it, just like the House does. But this version is now different because now it also has wording in here about Autel and Anzu Robotics that has also been co-sponsored by Senator Mark Warner from Virginia. It is really important to understand who Senator Rick Scott is and what his background is. Senator Rick Scott was the chief executive for a company called Columbia HCA. Now, this company defrauded Medicare, Medicaid, and other federal programs. The Department of Justice won 14 felony convictions against this company and fined them $1.7 billion. In a deposition in 2000, Rick Scott invoked the Fifth Amendment 75 times. So what I think it's really important to do is to share some of Senator Rick Scott's views on drones and the narrative that he's trying to push to the rest of the senators. If you look on his website, you'll see how he's bragging about what he's already done to try to eliminate Chinese-based drones and how much more work he feels he needs to still do. On his website, he has written, "Communist China's commitment to spying on America was on full display last year as we watched its spy balloon soar across the United States. While that balloon made a lot of headlines as worried Americans felt the tensions of a possible threat to the homeland for the first time in several decades, we all need to accept that Communist China wants to destroy the American way of life." So he is using a spy balloon as his narrative to be able to go ahead and ban Chinese drones that cannot do what he thinks that they can do. Because as we're going to go down here more, we're going to see how actually wrong he really is. He goes on to say Chinese technology is used to elevate the Chinese Communist Party through manipulation and data theft with the ultimate goal of obtaining leverage over United States infrastructure and critical resources. Senator Scott talks about data theft. Well, what about our cell phones that are Chinese made? Is he going to go ahead and take our phones away from us as well? Then he goes on and talks about U.S. infrastructure. So is he going to go ahead and stop Chinese satellites that have very good resolution and spy on a military installation very easily compared to a drone, breaking down the senator's logic of what he's going to use to try to convince other senators as a reason for this drone ban, and based it upon national security, he's saying that if there's a Chinese communist out there that wants to spy on top secret United States military installations, that they're going to go ahead and use a DJI drone as their top choice for technology. A drone that's very limited in flight time, let's say 40 to 45 minutes, a drone that's limited in range, and a drone that has remote ID capabilities on there that's going to show where the drone and the operator are, that they're going to fly this drone into a top secret military installation, a facility that has the latest and greatest drone detection technology on it to get this data, versus trying to use a real satellite that's going to be able to go ahead and pinpoint locations exactly where they want to go ahead and spy on, and be able to get that with the highest degree of resolution. DJI drones are way more secure and prevent things like that happening than any other drone in the market. You cannot fly near a large towered airport or a prison or a military installation because you're locked out. You can't even turn the motors on to fly. Versus any American-made drone, or for that matter, anything else, whether it's a Japanese drone or a Taiwan drone, that doesn't matter where it's made. None of those drones have geofencing on them. So he's actually wanting to ban the one specific product out there that is going to limit us in our access to be able to go onto these high-risk areas. And as far as flying a drone into a military installation, it doesn't matter what it is. Brand X, for example, that you can go ahead and jury rig a device that you can go ahead and fly that into a military installation. You can't do that with the DJI drones because of the geofencing. He goes on to say that drones are a part of our everyday lives. They provide critical public safety information, monitor traffic patterns and the weather, fight wildfires, assist emergency responders, inspect bridges and ports, survey land and resources, and much more. Well, I completely agree with that. The senator has absolutely no idea what he's doing and does not have any plan to be able to support this initiative that he puts in there. There is no American-made company that has enough resources or the manufacturing to produce hundreds of thousands of drones. It just can't happen. And if we want to have a system in place that can, it takes time and money. Now, I believe as of right now, Congress doesn't have the money, and time-wise, it takes 3 to 5 years to really, from concept to manufacturing, to put something out there. Continuing on his website, it says that it's important that the federal government sets the standards of what drones are safe and free of security risks for our communities and not prop up Chinese companies by seizing to buy Beijing's drones. Playing company whack-a-mole with tens of thousands of companies that are a part of the Chinese drone industry is completely unfeasible for the U.S. government. So there's lots to unpack here. So the senator is absolutely contradicting himself all in the same paragraph. Let's break it down. At first, he says that he wants the government to have the oversight to determine which drones are safe and not. However, he's already made up his own mind that DJI drones and Untitled drones are not safe. But yet, he has no evidence to support any of that. So there's a complete contradiction here and conflict of interest, because definitely there are special interest groups at hand here that are working behind the scenes. And he's trying to manipulate everything that he can to his own satisfaction. The reverse side here, he's saying that there's tens of thousands of drone companies that the United States does not have time to do whack-a-mole to determine this. So what is just a complete contradiction of what he just wrote. Lastly, he says, I won't stop until our country is completely safe from all threats posed by the importation of Chinese and adversary-backed technologies. So, with that said, there's a reason why I wanted to really read a lot of this out directly and comment on it, because this is a senator that will be going in front of the rest of the senators with this kind of nonsense and trying to push his agenda through. So all of this paints together a very clear picture of what is going on here. The special interest groups and lobbyists are representing certain drone companies that can't compete with DJI on a level playing field. Their technology, their pricing, and their features are subpar, way subpar, below everything that's out there that everybody does use. And that's the issue at hand. So if they can't beat them, they want to try to eliminate them by pushing through false narratives that are just wrong, and we have to be able to stop it. So now let's talk a little bit about recreational drones. According to the senator's plan, all DJI drones, including this little recreational drone, fits in that same category. So we're lumping all drones together in the same risk category. And also, the drone companies out there that are lobbying and pushing through for a ban like this, they don't even manufacture recreational drones anymore. So with that said, what's the plan for recreational drones and hobbyists out there? Well, the answer to that is there is no plan, because they're not thinking about that. They're only thinking about the narrative of what they're trying to push through. So what does this all mean in simple terms? Well, if Rick Scott's proposal gets put into the Senate version and voted in, then that would mean the House and the Senate both have DJI bans put into them, and they would have to work out the differences and see exactly what would be put in and how it would be shaped. But it would not be good news. And most likely it would only affect newer models that have not come out yet. But right now we're not sure of anything. So we cannot let this happen. So the Senate is in recess till September 9th before they can discuss or vote on anything. Now is the perfect time for us to all reach out to our senators and make sure this doesn't happen. I don't just like to put all these problems out and without any type of solutions at hand. So I could tell you what Steel City Drones is doing. Steel City Drones is setting up meetings with our two senators in Pennsylvania. Our plan would be to invest large funding to American-made companies that they can develop the technology and the resources and the manufacturing. They must be able to have a systematic process in place that will fund it and give the amount of time needed for this. Part of our plan is also to see a special advisory committee that is going to help steer Congress in the right direction, because Congress doesn't know what they don't know. This advisory committee should be made up of professionals and hobbyists out there, and anybody that has a stake in the drone industry, everybody from manufacturers, vendors and suppliers, professional flyers, commercial flyers, recreational flyers. Everybody that has a stake in there should be part of this committee that can help steer Congress in the right direction instead of being able to be misled by Senator Scott. So we are urging everybody to be able to reach out to your local senators and tell them how strongly you oppose Senator Rick Scott's amendment and why it's bad, how it can negatively affect you and your businesses, And if you're a public safety agency, please continue this fight, continue discussions with the senators, and make sure that they understand this can be detrimental to public safety, and how nobody, including a senator, would have to want to reach out to a family of a victim that a life could have been saved, but they were not allowed to use the best tools to be able to go ahead and save lives. If you have a senator that is in re-election, now is the time to talk to them, that they need to know, we need their support and why it's this important. And if they want our support during re-elections, this is what they need to do. Senator Rick Scott's actions are very irresponsible, and they don't have any plan in place. We have to be able to stop this. Also, check out the Drone Advocacy Alliance's website. They're in the process of crafting a call to action plan as well. And that group over there has been fantastic in our efforts to be able to fight this. We can't just irresponsibly ban these drones. So if you have any questions, reach out to us, put them in the comment section below, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you. And stay tuned for further updates as they develop. Thanks again.